Good day everyone. So for today's video, I'll be explaining my answers in the following question for the Prelim video. So number 1, a scientist developed a theory that required proof through the construction of a computer model. He hired a computer programmer to build the model, and the theory was shown to be incorrect. The scientist won several awards for the development of the theory, but he never acknowledged the contribution of the computer programming. So my answer in this question is the scientist's failure to acknowledge the computer programmer was the one who perfectly made the model that the scientist wants to be developed. That behind to all those success development of the theory for winning several awards was also because of the work of the computer programmer. Number 2, a student found a loophole in the university computer's security system that allowed him to access the other students' records. He told the system administrator about the loophole, but continued to access others' records until the problem was corrected 2 weeks later. So the student's action in searching for the loophole was planned or must be mistaken or a coincidence. The student's action in continuing to access others' records for 2 weeks was a mistake because he or she had exceeded his or her limits in touching other students' private property or information. The system administrator's failure to correct the problem sooner was made the student who found the loophole continued accessing other students' records. Number 3. One day, a student programmer decided to write a virus program. Virus programs usually make copies of themselves on other disks automatically, so the virus can spread to unsuspecting users. The student wrote a program that caused the microcomputer to ignore every fifth command entered by a user. The student took his program to the university computing lab and installed it on one of the microcomputers. Before long, the virus spreads to hundreds of users. So the student's action of infecting hundreds of users' disks was wrong because it may ruin the important files or information that a person or a student saved on that device. If the virus program output the message, "Have a nice day," then the student's action of infecting hundreds of users' disks would have been bring positivity to the other users' devices and make it there a really nice day if that happens. If the virus erased files, then the student's action of infecting hundreds of users' files would have been difficult to solve because when a virus had already erased some files, it may be hard to recover it unless you have a copy of that file on the other device. Number 4. The owner of a small business needed a computer-based accounting system. One day, he identified the various inputs and outputs he felt were required to satisfy his needs. Then he showed his design to a computer programmer and asked the programmer if she could implement such a system. The programmer knew she could implement the system because she had developed much more sophisticated systems in the past. In fact, she thought this design was rather crude and would soon need several major revisions. But she didn't say anything about her thoughts because the business owner didn't ask, and she hoped she might be hired to implement the needed revisions. So the programmer's decision not to point out the design flaws was kind of a mistake because no wonder that it could happen soon, and the business owner had no idea that this could happen to the system he or she wants to make. And for the programmer, it would be better if he or she would tell it to the business owner so that he or she can be aware. Number 5. The student enrolled in a computer class was also employed at the local business part-time. Frequently, her homework in the class involved using popular word processing in spreadsheet packages. Of Occasionally, she worked on her homework on the office computer at her part-time job, on her coffee or meal breaks. The student's use of the company computer was a helpful one if she or he didn't have her own computer at home and he or she only used it during break time so it won't affect his or her work. If the student had worked on her homework during company time, not during a break, the student's use of the company computer would have been wrong because it owns the company time, not the school time, and he or she should do his or her home job might as well so that he or she won't have a problem on it or on his or her boss. So that's all for today. Thank you.